interests, and that's where we start getting into the weeds. And the thing is, if you just look at the daily newspaper, you're going to be in the weeds, and you're not going to have any sense of the overall situation. But if you sort of can take sort of a bird's eye view, it kind of starts making sense, the details of what's happening on a daily basis. So the Shelby County Schools' primary strategy has been to pursue special school district status. This is not something new. It is something that they have considered and contemplated for 15 years. It's not something new. What is new is the makeup of the state legislature, and I'll get to why that has an impact on this strategy. Currently, the Shelby County school system is a county district. This is the default school system type in the state of Tennessee. This county school district must educate any student in the county, this is by state law, any student in the county that is not being served by another school district. Well, there's 150,000 public school students in Shelby County. However, 103,000 of them are currently being served by another school district, the Memphis City Schools. So currently, the only people that this county district must educate are those outside of the city of Memphis. Special school district status would change that. Rather than being a county district, Shelby County Schools would become a special district. That has three primary impacts. The first is it freezes boundaries. Like I said, a county district must educate all students not being served by another entity. That includes Memphis students if Memphis City Schools no longer exists. A special school district only ever has the obligation to educate students within the frozen boundaries. In addition, a special school district has independent taxing authority, which means in addition, residents within the special school district would pay, in addition to their Shelby County property taxes, a tax directly to the special school district that could be used on whatever. And then finally, and perhaps most critically, the special school district has veto power over combination with any other school system. So a county district is a default district, and it is required to sort of capture all county school students if there are no other systems. A special school district does not have that obligation and gets to choose whether it captures those students or not. So how do you get to a special school district status? Currently, there is a ban on special school districts in the state of Tennessee. So you need 2 legislative acts to get special school district status done, whether we're talking about in Shelby County or anywhere else in the state of Tennessee. First, you have to have the state lift its ban on new special school districts being created. And second, you would have to have the legislature pass a new act creating the new special school district, defining the frozen boundaries, and setting the tax rate. This has been pursued last year. In last year's Tennessee legislature, it failed by the first step. It failed by 1 vote. And this year, it seems like it's more possible to actually occur. So that's what Shelby County Schools is doing to pursue its interest. What is Memphis City doing to pursue its interest? Its interest, remember, is sustainable funding. First, where does the concern come from? It comes from a variety of places. One, it comes from largely the diminishing tax base in the city. Okay, so there's a underlying problem there. In addition, I mentioned the city contribution and the attempt by the city to stop that. So that sort of gets the attention of the city school board. But the primary motivating force here is the ramifications if Shelby County Schools gets special school district status and the independent taxing authority. It becomes unclear whether non-Memphians would continue to pay a county school tax that would go to support both systems as they currently do. If that happens, based on where the property wealth is in the community, the city schools would either lose $22 million in funding from the county, or the city of Memphis would have to raise property taxes in such a way to make up that gap, or something in between, right? So maybe a partial raise of taxes and a partial loss of funding. That is if Memphis remains in its current structure. The effect of a charter surrender is, well, it's changing by the minute, but when the charter surrender was originally voted on by the school board in December, the effect was that the city school students, those 103,000 students, would become students in the county, no longer being served by another system, and therefore county school students. Okay, so the county system would become responsible for former Memphis City School students. Now is where it starts getting tricky. How do you dissolve the city schools? There are two paths. I'm going to talk about the two paths briefly, well, for the remainder of the time, basically. You can either have the school board act to surrender the charter plus a citywide referendum. That is in statute, that is an avenue contained in statutory law. Or you can have the school board surrender the charter and the city council accept that surrender. That is in the 1961 private acts. These are two concurrent, independent ways of getting to the result of surrendering the charter, dissolving the Memphis City Schools. And so some of the legislation that passed yesterday in both the city council and the legislature impacts either, one or the other. So I'm going to go into that. So let's look at path A. Surrender plus referendum. Last week, if the referendum had passed, we would have entered a legal black hole. No one really knew who would appoint the transition board, or whether the county commission could enlarge the school board, or what would happen to optional schools, or whatever. However, this week, and as of today, in fact, where Governor Haslam has now signed the bill, we have a new structure for what happens if the referendum passes. First, we have a 3-year transition period if the referendum passes, which means fall 2013 would be the first year where we have a merged school system. The transition is run by a transition team that consists of 5 individuals appointed by the county mayor, 5 individuals appointed by the Shelby County Schools Board chair, 5 individuals appointed by the Memphis City Schools chair, and 3 individuals appointed by state government actors. It maintains a city-only referendum, so the March 8th referendum is still a city-only referendum as was originally contemplated. And at that same time, fall 2013, the new legislation lifts the ban on special school districts. So step 1 of the county strategy towards the county school strategy towards special school district status would be achieved in 2013. But for a few reasons, we don't know whether we're on path A, and we don't even know if path A is legitimate. Potential problems with path A and the Norris bill. I'm calling it the Norris bill, Senate Bill 0025, because it was at least initiated by Mark Norris. The first thing is it applicable? Now that the city council has done what it's done, are we in the path A world, or are we in path B? Because if we're not in the path A world, then this bill doesn't even apply. Second, you can throw out. It was at least conceivable that the governor would veto the bill because of the inadequate city representation on the transition team. He signed it, so erase that, right? That's changed since I did this 5 hours ago. And then there's potential legal challenges to the Norris bill. One, that it's retroactive legislation because it occurred between the time that the referendum was set and when the referendum took place. Second, it's special legislation. It can only apply to 2 potential counties in the state of Tennessee, one of which is nothing like Memphis. It's the city district. It's, without going into too much detail, it could only apply to 2 counties, ours and one where practically it's never going to apply. So it could be challenged as special legislation. In addition, there's some talk about federal voting rights problems because it changes the meaning of the referendum and the effect of the referendum after the fact. Okay, so there's potential legal challenges, and I think we're going to see. Okay, so that's path A. and its problems. What about Path B? Well, the City Council has done Path B. Path B has been taken. That happened yesterday. They call for the dissolution, winding up, and consolidation to be completed by June 2012. So rather than fall 2013, we're looking at fall 2012 in Path B as our potential first year of a merged school system. The mayor is authorized to negotiate joint operation agreement with Shelby County Schools during the transition. Okay, so that's sort of all that the City Council gave us in that action. What are the problems with this one? So problems with Path B and the 1961 Act that allows for Path B and the City Council action. The first is a sort of fundamental question. There is an Attorney General opinion from 2003 that says there are two different ways. It describes Path A and Path B, and it says, we're not thinking about this right now, but it's possible that Path B is superseded by Path A. So the 1961 Act no longer can achieve what the Memphis City Council seeks for it to achieve because the statute is the way in which you consolidate school systems. In addition, there's all sorts of political problems with going down Path B, right? First is does the referendum go on? If the City Council is correct and Path B, their action yesterday, means no more Memphis City schools, then what is being voted on March 8th? It's unclear. Is it a parallel path, or is it a separate path, or what? So it's unclear about the referendum. And then even more significantly, let's say, and I think the City Council would support this, that the referendum is going to happen. What happens if the referendum fails? And all of a sudden now, on Path A, we have a result where the City School Board was not dissolved, but Path B, we have a situation where the city schools were dissolved. Is there any way to sort of undissolve the school system to reflect the will of the people? That's what the City Council wants to do. That's why they delayed action, although the legislative behavior in Nashville sort of forced their hand to act yesterday. In addition, the 1961 Act has been potentially targeted as special legislation. It applies only to Memphis City schools. And there is always the possibility for further legislation on special school districts or lifting the ban, just overall lifting the ban. Remember, the Norris bill lifts the ban in fall 2013. There's no reason that the legislature couldn't start drafting a bill right now that lifted the ban immediately, which would allow pursuit of special school district status to begin right now. That bill doesn't exist yet, but it could happen and change things. So are we going to court? I think probably. And I think maybe we're already there. And who knows? I've been up here for 40 minutes, so it's possible that we're already in court. I think here's the questions that are going to be asked in court actions, the big ones. Which path is the right path to dissolve the school system? Path A, is that okay? Path B, is that okay? Both? Are they both okay? And I should have put up here neither. Is it conceivable that neither is okay? And I guess that's sort of addressed in the next thing. If Path A is the only okay path, is the Norris bill constitutional? Is it retroactive or special legislation? And if the Norris bill is not valid, then we re-enter our legal black hole. Although perhaps you think we're still in the legal black hole. I think we're not. I think we're clear. But it's possible to re-enter the legal black hole if the Norris bill is thrown out. If Path B remains valid, and essentially is now the path that we're on based on the City Council action, then can the County Commission come in and enlarge the school board of the Shelby County Schools? Is the Shelby County School Board